Well, hey everyone, and welcome to Santorini. We arrived on the island last night and we're staying in Ia, so we just had a really chill evening watching the sunset, eating some food, playing some games, and just generally relaxing. And then this morning I got up early with my sister to watch the sunrise. I swear the sunrises and sunsets here all just feel like they're straight out of a painting. It is a couple hours after the sunrise though. My sister and I went to get some pastries. I had an apple croissant for breakfast, so that was absolutely delicious. But now our plan for the day is really just to explore the island. We're renting a car while we're here, so our plan is really just to drive around and kind of get a feel for the island. So today we want to go see the black sand beach, a really pretty town called Pyrgos, and maybe a couple of other small towns along the way too. So I'm really excited for all that this day has in store. We have some absolutely gorgeous weather today. It's like just sunny and probably going to be like 75 degrees, so just could not ask for better weather, and this place is just stunning. So let's go and do some exploring. Before we do anything else though, I need to show you guys this view. We're staying in the heart of Ia. The sunset's literally over here and it is just the most spectacular place. So you have this big balcony that opens up to these gates right here, and you just go right through them and you can see on this side you have this gorgeous orange building. There's a fort, an old castle over here. You can see the caldera. And then over here, just that classic Santorini white building view. So, so pretty. The first town on our little road trip adventure was the town of Pyrgos. It's a small medieval town about 45 minutes away from where we were staying in Ia. And it's really charming. It was actually built on one of the tallest hills in Santorini, and so you had just fantastic views of the surrounding island. And the town itself is just filled with all these really cute alleyways, bell towers, and churches. And probably our favorite part is that at the top of a hill, there's actually the remains of an old Venetian castle that you can walk around. Once we'd seen a good bit of the town though, we got back in the car and started driving towards our next stop, Perissa Beach, which is a black sand beach right on the outer edge of Santorini. And it was a gorgeous day and we brought our bathing suits to go swimming, but when we finally got there, Christopher and I chickened out a bit, and so we decided to go for a short walk on the beach and just to enjoy the views instead. It was a really cool and unique beach though, and afterwards we walked just across the street to get crepes at a local creperie. And then after some lunch, we continued on to the third and final stop on our road trip, a little town called Megalochori. And it was another very traditional and charming Santorini town with plenty of domed churches and some really cool tiered bell towers. And so again, we just wandered around, enjoyed the views, and really tried to take it all in before returning back to Ia. Okay, so it's about 5 p.m. now and we are back at our Airbnb after spending most of our day really just driving around and exploring some of the really beautiful small towns dotted across Santorini. I think that when a lot of people think of Santorini, they immediately think of Ia, which is where we're staying, and Thera, but there are also quite a few really just beautiful historic towns throughout the island too that are really cool to explore. So we just spent most of our day exploring those. Then about an hour ago, we got back to Ia, to our Airbnb, and we're pretty tired, so I just finished sleeping for like an hour straight. Now though, it's about an hour to an hour and a half before the sun sets, so I think I'm going to do a little bit of exploring around the streets of Ia, just wander around. There are a lot of really cute little shops and things like that in this area, so I think I might do a little bit of that. I think Christopher might still be napping, so I'll probably leave him to do his own thing. But yeah, I'm going to do a bit of exploring and then we're just going to come back here and watch the sunset. That's like in Santorini, what people do is they literally just time their days around watching the sunsets because they're so gorgeous here. So I'm gonna spend about an hour exploring, then come back here, watch the sunset like right over here. Also, if you could hear flapping, that was this umbrella. Sorry if it's distracting. Right here though is where the sunset's going to be. And I'm excited for it. So I spent a nice half hour or so just wandering around the streets of Ia, which was honestly really nice after spending a lot of time that day in the car. But then as the sun got lower on the horizon, I came back to our Airbnb to enjoy the sunset. And we honestly could not have picked a better location for our Airbnb to watch the sunset from. On the surrounding streets and at the castle, people would literally line the walls to watch the sunset, but we had a private view from the balcony of where we were staying. And honestly, I feel like that really helped us to enjoy the experience so much more. But then after the sun finally set, we went to go pick up some pizza for dinner. We got a few different pizzas and a bottle of wine to share, and we just sat down to enjoy it. We went on the trip with my sister and her husband Josiah, and his sister Kendra and her husband Alexandros. And so especially after the sunset, it was just a great time when we could all hang out and relax. Okay, so it is like 7 in the morning. The sun's going to rise in about half an hour. It's getting lighter right now. We're about to walk about 5 to 10 minutes away just to find a really nice place to watch the sunrise. Christopher didn't get up to watch the sunrise yesterday morning, but he's coming with us this morning, and it already looks like it's going to be a beautiful one. So we're going to head off to our sunrise watching location now and just enjoy the views. And the sunrises in Santorini were really one of the best surprises of this trip for me. Everyone always talks about the sunsets, but the sunrises are just as beautiful, but with no one else around. And so we walked over to the castle to watch the sunrise, and then afterwards Christopher and I went to this cute little cafe overlooking Ia. And it was nice to get just a bit of alone time with Christopher and to hang out. I ordered a hot tea and a fresh fruit crepe, and then Christopher got a traditional Greek breakfast. Then afterwards, we spent a few hours just walking through the streets of Santorini, wandering into the little shops and seeing some of the sights. Oh, and we also stopped for smoothies as a snack. So it's about 12 p.m. now, and we just got back from spending the morning wandering around Ia. We went to a breakfast place at this really gorgeous spot that overlooked basically all of Ia. It was a really, really beautiful spot. The food was like okay, but the views definitely made it worth it. And then we just spent a couple hours kind of tootling down the different streets, browsing some of the shops. There are a lot of cool different art galleries and like clothing stores, things like that. So didn't buy anything yet, but there is one painting that we have our eyes on. Not sure if we're going to buy it, but we're thinking about it. That was a great time, and now we are about to take the bus to Thera, and what we want to do this afternoon is something that I've really been looking forward to ever since we arrived. It's hiking from Thera to Ia. And there's apparently about a 2-3 mile long walk that just takes you along the cliff edge of the island. It's supposed to be really, really beautiful, and I think it'll be fun just to get out, get some exercise. It's another gorgeous, very sunny day, so we're going to do that and just, I think, do that for most of the afternoon, and then probably go somewhere really fun and nice for dinner. I brought a dress, so I think we're going to get a little bit dressed up, have a fancy dinner later, but first I'm really looking forward to this hike, so let's go. So we started off the hike by taking the bus from Ia to Thera, which would then allow us to be able to hike mostly downhill. And this is a really unique hike. It not only took you directly through Thera, but through a lot of other cute small towns in Santorini, and it had you walk along the inside part of the island, so you had these amazing views of the caldera the whole time. Now, the one thing that I'll say is that I must have completely misread online how long the hike is. Going into it, I thought it was going to be about a 2 or 3 mile hike, but it actually turned out to be 10 kilometers, which is around 6 miles. So it did end up taking quite a bit longer than I'd originally thought, but it was still incredibly worth it, and the views were just completely stunning. And definitely this is one of those things that if you're ever in Santorini, I would put on your bucket list. Okay, so we just got back from our hike and took a few minutes to change. Having finished the hike, I would definitely say it was more of a hike than a walk. I wasn't sure going into it because from what I was reading online, it sounded like it was going to be mostly downhill. I'd say it was definitely a good combination. There was a lot of uphill walking as well, but it was absolutely gorgeous and just such a cool way to be able to see really the whole island. I think we walked, I think it was about a third of the length of the island. It was 10 kilometers long, so it was a lot of fun, so beautiful, and some of the most like panoramic views I've seen. And now it's getting a bit later. We're about an hour away from sunset, and tonight we decided to switch it up. Of course, we are still watching the sunset, but instead of watching it right here from our Airbnb, we're going to walk up here to the castle. There's like a little overlook up here, which is apparently one of the best places in Santorini to watch the sunset from. So we're going to be joining my sister and brother-in-law are actually up there already. They are saving seats for us. So Christopher and I just changed and tried to freshen up after our hike a little bit, and we're going to go up and join them now. The hike itself was so much fun though, and this is our last day in Santorini, so I felt like it was just a really great way to experience the island on our last day here. So we're going to go walk up there now, watch the sunset, and then I think once it's dark out, our plan is to get dinner somewhere. So let's go. Okay, I spy. Did you guys hear one? Yes. That house. Yep. Is it that house? And this was yet another amazing sunset. I feel like we got really lucky because all three of the sunsets that we got to see while we were in Santorini were incredibly beautiful, but all very different as well. So we just had a fun time hanging out with my sister and brother-in-law, playing I Spy, which is kind of random, but it was fun, and just watching the sunset. It was really windy out though, and we started getting cold, so after watching the sunset, instead of sticking around to watch all the lights come on, we decided to head back to our Airbnb and get ready for dinner. And the place we decided to eat at for dinner was a really cute spot by our Airbnb called Iefsis. And since it was our last night in Santorini, we wanted to enjoy the views, so we asked if we could eat outside, and they were kind enough to provide us with some blankets while we ate. It was a bit cold, but we really enjoyed just having the space to ourselves. And after some very fun but busy days, it was a great chance to relax. While we were waiting for our food though, I did end up ordering a hot chocolate to keep me warm, which ended up being an incredible decision because it was delicious. And of course, Christopher had to have his little cameo. After a bit, our food arrived though, and the presentation was so much fun. I ordered roasted lamb and it did not disappoint. Then on the way back to our Airbnb, we stopped at Lolita's for another gelato. We ate here every single day on our trip, and the gelato was quite literally the best gelato I've ever had. And after having tasted it, even Italy's didn't compare. Then we ended our night with playing some games before going to bed because we had a very early flight back to Athens the next morning. Unfortunately, we were able to make it onto our flight and back to Athens with no problems, so we could begin the next stage in our adventures. So that's it, but I hope you guys enjoyed coming along for our trip to Santorini. And of course, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to Italy next, and I don't want you guys to miss that. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day today, and I'll see you in the next one.